This is Conquest, a battle-scarred Viltrumite enforcer who represents the absolute peak of power in the universe, getting beaten up by Mark. And this is the same Mark getting his teeth kicked in by a bunch of reanimate. Invincible has a major inconsistency problem. It's a series that constantly wants to have its cake and eat it too. And when you look closely, you start to see the major plot holes. Like how Invincible's power scaling is all over the place. One minute, a character is near omnipotent. The next, they're getting smacked around by a D-list villain. It's like the show can't decide how strong anyone is supposed to be, adjusting power levels on the fly to serve the scene. Remember Omni-Man, Mark's dad, and the most powerful being on Earth? In the finale of Season 1, the hero, the Immortal, briefly makes Omni-Man bleed with a desperate attack, only for Omni-Man to literally tear Immortal in half like Homelander does to Webweaver 2 seconds later. How does that work? How does a guy who can rip a skull in half get even a scratch from someone he's about to destroy? It's inconsistent, and it pulls you out of the moment. And that's not even the worst offense. Omni-Man has been shown multiple times throughout the show to possess super speed, and yet he almost gets taken out by mere robots. Sure, they aren't normal robots, but mind you, this is the same dude who took out the entire Flaxen planet all by himself. None of it adds up. And poor Mark Grayson, the dude's power level yo-yos every episode. In one fight, Mark can barely handle some street-level thug or gets clobbered by regular human-made tech. In another, he's going toe-to-toe with world-ending aliens. Season 1 saw Mark struggling against the Flaxen alien invaders early on, getting knocked around until they conveniently started aging to dust. Yet a few episodes later, he's getting a planet-level beatdown from Omni-Man and somehow surviving. Think about that. Mark gets knocked around by random Flaxens, but then he takes punches from the same guy who single-handedly wiped their planet. By Season 3, you'd think Mark has leveled up, but nope, he and Adam Eve fail to take care of Doc Seismic and his goofy lava monsters and need outside interference. It's as if the show needs Mark to lose when it wants some extra blood and drama, and then lets him win, or survive, whenever the plot demands a heroic moment. Consistency? Never heard of her. The result is that it's hard to tell what the stakes are. When anyone's power can fluctuate wildly, threats feel random. Is this villain actually dangerous, or just temporarily strong because the writer said so? Inconsistency in power scaling is annoying as heck, because it undermines the tension. If Mark gets his face smashed in by a mid-tier villain one week and is fine against a top-tier Viltrumite the next, we start to suspect the only real rule is main character survives until finale. That's not stakes, that's plot armor. Invincible wants to shock us with violence, but when the power levels behind the violence don't make sense, it becomes hard to take any fight seriously. Now, let's talk animation quality, or the lack thereof. Okay, maybe that's harsh, but have you seen some of these scenes? Invincible has moments of visual greatness, usually when it's time to show someone getting hurt, but in between those big set pieces, the animation often struggles. Background characters stand uncomfortably still, movements can be stiff, and don't get me started on the flying sequences. In some shots, a character flying looks like nothing more than a JPEG being dragged across the background. It's almost comical. Our hero soaring majestically through the sky, except he's as static as a cardboard cutout. Immersion? Gone. The inconsistency in animation can give you whiplash. One moment you're watching a beautifully animated battle with dynamic punches and flowing blood. The next, a character falls to the ground with all the grace of a flip book missing half its pages. We get it. 2D animation is expensive and hard. The animators probably poured resources into the big fights, and they do look pretty good when it counts. But the trade-off is obvious. Ordinary moments and transitions suffer. Dialogue scenes sometimes have minimal character movement, giving off Saturday morning cartoon vibes instead of a premium series. The flat art style, which mimics the comics look, is fine, but combined with limited animation, it can feel flat in a bad way, like you're watching a slideshow rather than a finished product. At its worst, the animation quality actively distracts from the story. When you're busy noticing that two characters hovering in midair look like cutout sprites on a static background, it's hard to stay emotionally invested in their very serious conversation. Invincible's story wants to be taken seriously, but the visuals don't always rise to the occasion, undermining those impactful moments with unintentional awkwardness. Great characters can save even a flawed story. Unfortunately, Invincible's characters sometimes have the opposite problem. They make baffling choices or change personalities to fit the plot. The biggest offender everyone talks about? Amber. Oh, Amber Bennett, Mark's high school girlfriend and the undisputed queen of mixed messages. In Season 1, Amber is portrayed as smart, confident, and always taking the moral high ground, until the writing bends over backwards to cause drama. Case in point, the infamous campus incident. Mark rushes off to save people, even nearly killed in the process, while Amber and William are attacked. Afterwards, Amber dumps Mark, angry that he ran away during the attack, only to reveal she knew he was invincible all along. Yes, she knew he was a superhero and was literally saving lives, but she's mad he didn't trust her with his secret earlier. Huh? This reaction makes no sense. Amber shows zero concern that Mark was bleeding out protecting everyone, or that their friend's boyfriend was turned into a mind-controlled zombie. Nope, she's just personally offended. It's an incredibly self-centered response, yet the show frames Amber as if she has a point. The writers seem to want us to nod along like, yeah, Mark, you should have been honest with your girlfriend while you were busy coughing up blood fighting a super cyborg. How dare you not disclose your secret identity at the worst possible moment? Amber's characterization does a 180 purely to manufacture relationship drama. One episode, she's sweet and understanding. The next, she's cold and unreasonable. It's less like a realistic character flaw and more like the writers need conflict and didn't care if it made Amber look irrational. She's not the only one. There are other character inconsistencies that stand out. Cecil, the shady government handler, even he flip-flops when convenient. He tells Mark he's like family, then essentially has a secret kill switch to disable him, because trust only goes so far, I guess. Rudy's whole storyline in Season 1 jumps through emotional beats pretty quickly. One minute he's betraying the team for greater good reasons, the next he's basically forgiven. It's a bit whiplashly. And let's not forget how quickly the new Guardians of the Globe mesh as a team after almost murdering each other during training. Characters will have big dramatic moments, like Monster Girl and Black Samson nearly dying, or Eve leaving her parents to be a hero. But a few scenes later, those issues are brushed aside or forgotten until the plot needs to bring them back. It's an inconsistent development. These inconsistencies matter because they make it hard to invest in the characters. If we can't predict how someone will react because even the writers haven't decided who this person really is, emotional moments lose impact. You start seeing the strings behind the puppets. Oh, the show needs Amber to be mad now. Or, I guess Cecil is nice this episode because it's convenient. It's frustrating when a character feels less like a person and more like a tool for the plot. Even fans and critics have called out some of these mind-boggling character decisions, and it drags the show down from what could have been a great character-driven drama to a shallower, surface-level bloodbath. Speaking of the plot bending characters to its will, let's talk plot convenience. Invincible's story often moves forward not because of clever writing or earned twists, but because of convenient coincidences and contrivances. Things just happen because they need to, even if they make you go, wait, really? The show is practically held together by duct tape and last-second saves. How many times has Mark been seconds away from death before someone or something intervenes at exactly the right moment? Let's count. Omni-Man is about to turn his son into paste, but suddenly remembers he has a heart after being a sociopath for 7 episodes and flies off, conveniently sparing Mark for the next season. Battle Beast is ready to finish Mark and the Guardians in episode 5, but decides he's disappointed and teleports out, leaving our heroes alive purely because the plot isn't done with them. In another instance, Mark and Eve are about to get killed by the villains, but hey, the GDA swoops in just in time to save them. Mark basically has a guardian angel named The Script watching over him. The conveniences extend beyond life and death rescues. Plot threads pop up and resolve or disappear a bit too neatly. Or consider how Mark's hospital recoveries are unbelievably swift. Sure, he has Viltrumite healing, but luckily our boy can be beaten to a pulp so badly we get a montage of him in a full body cast, yet he's back in action basically good as new whenever a new fight is around the corner. The plot wants brutal consequences for shock value and then wants to reset to normal, and it conveniently has it both ways. There's also the way other heroes or authorities conveniently stay out of the way so Mark can have his solitary battles. In the college reanimant attack, for example, Mark just happens to be the only hero around so the scene can play out with maximum horror and to give William his traumatic experience. Cecil's agency, which is usually monitoring everything, conveniently misses warning Mark beforehand. Or when Titan calls Mark to take down Machine Head, the new Guardians conveniently don't show up until it's too late, because if they arrived earlier, maybe Battle Beast wouldn't have turned Mark's ribcage into mush. These little contrivances stack up. After a while, you can predict that whenever Mark faces a villain, help will only arrive after he's had the tar beaten out of him. It's a formula, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. All these plot conveniences make the story feel cheap, instead of characters solving problems or plots unfolding organically. An invisible hand of fate, or rather the writers, is always shoving things in the needed direction. Need Mark to survive? Drop a last-minute save. Need a villain to escape? Give them a sudden bout of boredom or a handy teleport. It can get frustrating when plot twists and resolutions feel unearned or too perfectly timed. Viewers aren't dumb. We can tell when the story is taking shortcuts, and each time Invincible leans on a contrivance, it chips away at the credibility of its world. A world full of super beings and sci-fi gadgetry is already fantastical. It needs internal logic and believable cause and effect to ground it. Invincible sometimes fumbles that, preferring the rule of cool over coherent plotting. Look, despite all these criticisms, Invincible isn't a lost cause. It's a fun show in many ways. It's bold, it's energetic, it's got J.K. Simmons voicing an omni-chinned alien dad, which is automatically a win. But it's also fair to acknowledge that Invincible has some serious flaws. The insane violence might get your attention, but it doesn't completely disguise writing issues. In the end, for a show called Invincible, its writing is anything but from critique. And unlike Mark Grayson, it doesn't have a fast healing factor. So, is Invincible still worth watching? Sure. If you enjoy a mix of superhero destruction and ridiculously over-the-top action, you'll have a good time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell to be notified of any latest uploads. That said, see you in the next one.